Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you another look behind the numbers of StarCraft 2. One of the questions that I got from the most recent patch regarding 1.1.1 and 1.1.2 was, how in the world could the Void Ray have gotten a buff and a nerf at the same time? A lot of players were kind of curious as to what I meant by that. And of course, the only way to really describe any of this is to take a look at the numbers. Now, first of all, this is what was changed and revealed in patch 1.1 and patch 1.1.2. So the damage upgrade for 1.1.1 on level 1 was before just a flat 5. So if you take a look at this row here and this row here, the damage, regardless if it was an armored unit or not, you only did 5 damage in attack. However, once you got to level 2, your damage was significantly higher at 10 damage per attack for patch 1.1.1, and then against armored you had 25 damage per attack, ultimately letting you be able to get 16 damage per second against unarmored units, and then an amazing about 42 damage a second against armored units. Now, in the most recent patch change, for level 1, you actually get a slight buff from 5 damage up to 6 damage for level 1 attacks. Secondly, you had a major damage bonus against armored units when you went from 5 up to 10. So during the level 1 attack upgrades, or the level 1 charging or the attack of a Void Ray, your damage is significantly higher. Before, your damage and your DPS was 8.3 per second for the level 1 attacks, and then after patch 1.2, your damage is now 10 damage per second, or almost 17 damage a second as well. Now, if you take a look at these numbers, it looks like the Protoss Void Ray really got a major buff, or a major nerf in the level 2 attack range. If you take a look at the number 16.67 versus 16.67 instead of 13.33, and then 42 instead of 27. Even though that does seem like a very, very large damage reduction, you also need to take a look at the damage over time throughout the whole entire attack of the Void Ray. So if you take a look at the total damage dealt chart that I created up here for you guys, you can see how much damage the Void Ray is actually doing over time, and how much time it actually takes to recuperate for these patch changes to really be affecting a nerf. Now, you can take a look at these numbers here. In patch 1.1.2 versus armored and unarmored units, you need to go all the way over until the 12-second mark, or after 20 and 21 attacks, before you really start to feel any of those quote-unquote nerfs. In fact, prior to these attacks, you actually have a buff. If you take a look at this chart here, you can see right before you hit the level 2, you are already doing 65 additional damage towards your target. That means that could probably mean a dead Marauder in this particular instance. So instead of only dealing 65 damage to a Marauder, you have now already dealt 130 damage to that Marauder. So that means that your damage and your attack for your Void Rays will be much higher, even if you don't micro them nearly as much. The problem that Blizzard was seeing, and that I was seeing in very, very high level replays, including some of the professional players, is once a Void Ray got to a fully charged attack, the damage was simply so off the scale with an amazing 42 damage per second that nothing really ever stood a chance. If you try to compare it to any other air unit, the only other air unit, that can attack air and ground at the same time, that isn't a capital ship, you would be taking a look at the Mutalisk. And the Mutalisk, its attack rate is 1.52 and its damage is 9. So its damage per second is significantly lower. I'm not saying that a Mutalisk versus a Void Ray is a fair comparison in a 1-1, but I'm saying perhaps if you had 2 Void Rays versus 3 Mutalisks, those Void Rays were significantly out damaging their Mutalisk counterpart, even though they just cost some additional minerals. So taking a look at this chart, you can really see how the Void Ray is a little bit more of a well-balanced unit over time now, as opposed to just a very, very strong unit after it's fully charged, and then kind of a weak, mediocre unit before it's charged. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know if you guys like this chart. Let me know if you guys have any additional questions in regards to these numbers. Yeah, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.